Hello and welcome to the Matching Voices show with me, Gillian Gotts. This is sponsored by Catalyst, and it's all about Ukraine business. And today I'm joined by Ukrainian Max Pecherskyi, who is the CEO and co-founder of PromoRepublic. Max, thank you very much for coming on our show.
Glad to be here, Gillian. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, this is a very important series of podcasts that we're doing and videocasts that we're doing because we're looking at Ukraine business, which is still going on. I want to talk to you about what you are doing, and you've been all around the world, actually based in Helsinki at the moment, but talking about your actual business and then about the economic situation in Ukraine and how people can support Ukraine business because, as you said, I said at the very start, you have been stress tested like no other startup going. So you're advanced from a lot of other startups. So Max, let me start off with your business, PromoRepublic. It's about 7 years old. Tell me a bit about the business.
Yeah, sure. So PromoRepublic is a marketing technology software as a service company. So we're helping North American enterprises, Fortune 500s, to involve non-marketers into their marketing processes. So all founders of PromoRepublic are Ukrainians, and we have a significant part of the team that is or was based in Ukraine before the war started on February 24th. And of course, PromoRepublic, as well as other startups with significant teams or 100% of the teams based in Ukraine had, let's put it like that, more stuff on their plate in the 7 weeks or how long is it now over the last week. So we had to do a lot of new things and adapt.
Okay, so before we talk about more, I want to go into the Ukrainian situation, how people are coping, how businesses are coping, because like farmers still have to plant seed, things still have to go on even in these terrible times. But you are a serial entrepreneur. Would I be accurate in saying that you've had many startups?
Yeah, so current startup is my second business. Before that, I co-founded and exited from a digital marketing agency.
Okay, so you're all in the tech. What would you say are the main elements that make a startup successful? Because you exited, so you did successfully your first startup. So what are the main elements that make a startup successful?
Yeah, great co-founders team with a great relationships that kind of that the competences are aligned. Of course, a lot of passion. I think first time startup founders succeed because they know that they don't really know that to succeed it's impossible to succeed almost in the startup world, but they don't know it, so they keep on going. And yeah, of course, funding is very important. Investment, especially in software as a service niche, where it takes pretty long to get to the product market fit. So you need to be kind of fundraisable founder in a way, and obviously like all the competences of the leadership and getting people on board as like team members and partners and customers and investors. So this kind of competence of being able to inspire people about your idea and get them on your side is extremely important.
I love what you say, that especially new entrepreneurs, they have so much passion. They don't know that they may not succeed, and they keep on going, and they succeed perhaps despite themselves. It's a very good definition of a newbie entrepreneur. So what things have you learned? What learnings have you taken from your first successful startup to this startup?
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, my previous one was still an agency. We were doing startups for big brands, but we were not kind of creating scalable, profitable businesses, and we still did it in an agency business model, agency mode. So I had to kind of reprogram my brains completely when switching to the real startup world. So this kind of way of thinking when you're running a marketing agency or a digital agency is totally different. So the approach is totally different when you compare it with the startup world. And the main difference is that if you are kind of in a service business, into do it for you business, often wise you think locally. So agencies typically tend to have local customers. So it's really difficult to go global because the connections are very important. And also all that kind of, we have to have it really high quality before we launch kind of thing, right? In startups, it's the opposite. If you're not embarrassed about what you have went live with, it means you've launched too late. So you really have to be really fast getting something online and getting the initial feedback. Otherwise, you end up spending a lot of time creating something that no one really wants to buy. So that was the main learning for me. Yeah.
That's two absolute amazing quotes. You've launched too late if it's perfect. What I love that. What do they say is perfection is the enemy of, I don't know, doing stuff, whatever. I see it.
Good stuff, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. What are the major impediments then to startups as entrepreneurs? What are the biggest things that can, apart from lack of passion and launching too late, what are the major things that would
yeah, lack of persistency. So if you're in your previous actions, you are kind of I mean, you have to treat startup like a baby. So you cannot, after 2 years, you cannot say to your baby, sorry, it didn't work out as a father, bye. So that doesn't work. You keep on doing it despite everything, right? If you have that attitude to startup, I think you're gonna succeed. However, there is a difference between persistency and stubbornness. So you still need to be open to feedback. You still need to be open to other, like you need to check your own convictions with the reality. You cannot be obsessed by the idea without listening to anyone. So if you have the skill of actually like getting and digesting feedback from customers, from investors, then you're gonna most likely fail. But if you're open to it, but still you listen all the options and opinions, but still you make your own decisions based a bit on the intuition, a bit on the vision, and then and the third part is like customer feedback, then the chances to succeed are dramatically increasing.
So you are in IT, the IT world, and
Yes.
startups. How are they different in terms of maybe work practices to, I don't know, engineering or retail startups? What are the main difference?
Yeah, so it's all about thinking global. So you cannot really call a business startup if there is no scalability and globalization element in there from the very beginning. So that's why it's really cool to see those countries like Estonia, Finland, with a really small local market succeeding in building global startups because they just don't have an option to build a local business on the plate. It's too small, right? So yeah, so the main difference is to think globally right away. And the beauty of a startup that you can manage, I don't know, millions of customers with a pretty small team. So it's extremely scalable.
So we're here today because the series is sponsored by Catalyst. They are a matching service between startups and entrepreneurs and investors. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you know about Catalyst? And then we're going to move on to the Ukrainian situation.
Yeah. So Tech Atlas is creating a great environment where startups that are investable and want to raise funding can kind of create a short list of investors that are relevant for their business, like much easier than you would do it kind of without any platform. So yeah, many processes are, or fundraising processes are automated, and kind of the distance between an investor and a startup is shorter. Of course, it will requires work, like managing any kind of workflow platform. So to get value from Salesforce, you need to make sure you're using Salesforce properly as a salesperson. So it's the same for fundraising. If you're using kind of Tech Atlas, right, and you have your routines set, so that's a great instrument.
So what's interesting now is we're here talking today because you're based in Helsinki, but you and your co-founders are from Ukraine. And right now, well, you're also fundraising, but Ukraine businesses need money because it hasn't stopped. It's like, I think sometimes the rest of the world, we're watching the war and we think, oh, and we see the ruined cities, but there are businesses, both some still based in Ukraine and some outside Ukraine, that are still going on. So what is your message to people watching this who might want to maybe invest or assist or help or get employed by a Ukraine company, which seems like kind of counterintuitive, but it's interesting. Tell me what you think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll try to summarize my position on that, on kind of fundraising, Ukrainian startups, challenges, uncertainty, those kind of things. So yeah, what happened is crazy stuff that broke a lot of things, especially for startups with parts of their teams, significant parts of their teams based in Ukraine, like PromoRepublic, or having like the whole team in Ukraine, or even worse situation when the whole team is somewhere in that part of Ukraine where it went really tough. So of course it was an amazing stress test for leadership, because company that was focused on growth, like within a day, had to focus on bringing their team members to safety, supporting them psychologically, supporting them with an information, because how to get out to safety, supporting them with financing using like non-traditional ways of getting cash in hands of people, supporting them with a soft landing in west of Ukraine or in European or other countries where they've never been before, but they were forced to come there. So I mean, a lot of startups that I know organized this kind of coordination center and had to pull in budgets to those things. And the budgets that were previously focused on the actual growth and getting this growth speed that the investor world demands, right? And of course that was a great challenge, and I mean I'm just impressed by the persistency and dedication of Ukrainian team members, that despite the need to relocate, despite the whole craziness happening around, they just kept on working, and they were saying, hey, we understand that the business has to continuity. We need to ensure the continuity of business because business supports us. Government is busy with other things, so only our employer can support us. So that was kind of like mutual commitment and care, like where team members that really were in a stressful situation still contributed how they could to the operation of the startup. But it was not that bad in case of PromoRepublic, where the key processes and operations are still kind of outside of Ukraine and risk-free. However, other startups had it much in a much more risk zone. So, and however, like after several weeks, when everyone has been moved to safety and you kind of dealt with the initial kind of onboarding and soft landing programs for relocated employees, we're looking at our business and seeing that, okay, budgets are back to growth. Everything is as we pitched on we've been fundraising just before the war, and we put it on hold, but now we see there's kind of not only all our kind of metrics are qualifying us as an investable company, but also we went through this stress test, and the culture and the morale and the company and the confidence of the leadership, including myself, that we are gonna make it to unicorn at least, whatever happens. And so I think that's a big added value for you as a VC, as a venture capital that invests in Ukrainian company, because these guys that kept caring about their team members and kept the business continuity, and then kind of matured dramatically, solving all those challenges within the last weeks. I think that qualifies Ukrainian startups to next league. And they not only they deserve, of course, VCs are not charity organizations. They need to look into the ROI and into the like obviously doing the due diligences and everything. So I'm not calling to VCs saying, guys, invest in Ukrainian startups so they can care about their teams. No, I'm saying, guys, here are the rock stars, like in the startup scene, in the global startup scene. They made it. So if they go through your evaluation process nicely in terms of KPIs and growth things, you are lucky that you may invest into these companies, because these guys will succeed anyway.
That is very powerful and very strong, and maybe not something that people think about currently, that as I say, you all have to scramble because the government is obviously busy, still is busy, and to figure out how to keep the team going, and it's just that sense of power that's coming from keeping going, basically, and we're all going to make it. That is and the rock star, that is fantastic. So basically what we're saying here in this series, and Max, you're also fundraising too as well. I'm going to do your details at the end of this, but we're saying invest in Ukraine startups and business, because they're going to make it. And if you would be lucky indeed, if you are an investor, to have an opportunity to engage with these determined, I mean, there's passion and there's passion companies that are going to keep on going, and then when the world gets to right again, to return, or whatever the normality says. So Max, thank you very much indeed. That's very powerful. I love what you said, and it's a very clear message to business out in the world, that Ukraine business is still going. Like we all know, we need to rely on Ukraine farming. That's going to be a huge problem of the food security, but Ukraine business is keeping going. And that's where, if you are an investor or a supporter or wanting to get employed with the Ukraine business, this could be the time to do it, which it's like magic. Wow. Max, thank you very much again. So tell people, where can they find you to look at your business? I say you're actively fundraising, to maybe come and talk to you, to whatever, just to apply for jobs. I don't know. Where can they find you?
Yeah. So all the open positions there are at PromoRepublic.com. So you find the jobs section in the footer. It's easy to find. On the fundraising matters, reach out directly to me. It's max@PromoRepublic.com. So it's pretty easy. And if you need a hint of other investable startups also, let me know. So now, together with some local investors, we are creating like a list of top 20 investable startups from Ukraine. We're hoping to get this list out soon in the major US and UK media. So stay tuned.
Brilliant. I thank you so much for your time, for your words, and for your passion. Thank you very much, Max.
Thank you.